Good evening, everybody. Hope all of you are doing well in this windy weather. If you are here with us in the Bay Area, we're actually expected to have winds as strong as 60 hours a mile. And for frame of reference, that's enough to blow over trees. Actually, on my way to work today, I saw a tree that actually fell on top of a car. So just as a heads up, you guys, if you guys are going into work or if you guys are parking to get food, groceries, whatever, just be careful of where you're parking, and maybe you don't want to park next to anything really tall like that, like a lamp post, if it doesn't have that cement base, or even a tree, because the winds are really strong right now. So hopefully you guys can all be safe. Your cars can be safe if you're here with us in the Bay Area. So just as a heads up, be careful for those falling trees because they are a real thing right now. And with that aside, the thing that I really wanted to bring up today for us was whether or not that you can trust a mechanic or not. And I know that this video or this live stream might seem a little ranty because I ran into an issue when helping out a friend of mine do the KWV ones. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, or well, actually Instagram is the only way that you would know, but I'm helping my friend install a set of KWV ones on their car. And they got the car a couple months ago, and they said that they took it to a couple places to do like regular inspections, tire rotations, wheel inspection, alignment, all of the things. And when I get under there, I'm like, they didn't do much, or they didn't do the service that they said that they were going to do. And that's what brought up today's topic. So I hope it's not too ranty, but it's just, I hope that all of us can possibly share a mechanic in our local area. That way we have like like a trusted source in the area that's recommending places. You know, it's easy to manipulate the Yelp reviews, Google reviews, whatever reviews that people are using to search up a specific shop. It's easy to manipulate those results and curate the best comments or reviews to the top. And so with that, we're really going to go over our mechanics trustworthy. And I would say that, you know, for the most part, they are. Most of them, they try to earn an honest living. Most of them are car enthusiasts, but there are some people out there that are just trying to get over on people. As an example, the car that I had, they said that they took it to a shop, and it is actually a 228i. They said that they took it to Wheelworks to get like everything done with the wheels, the wheel alignment, tire rotation, all of those things. And then they took it to another shop to do like control arms and a general inspection. And usually I don't have a problem with somebody charging like $100 to do the general inspection, the first go around. But with that inspection, you should be able to tell the person what's actually wrong with the car, not just recommend a part and then not address the other things, or just try to make a quick sale. And so this is what I installed. I ended up spending the 3 days to do the KWV ones, and it is long to do coilovers, but I was filming in the process. So I wanted to make sure that every shot was as detailed as it can be, because when I did the KWDDCs on the M235i, I felt there were some areas in part of the production value of the video that I was missing out on, that I didn't do a good enough job on. And I wanted to make sure that I nailed it this time, especially since I had enough time with the car to do so. So it took me 1 day with filming to do the rears, and then 1 day each to do the fronts. So for frame of reference, I know that people can film it way faster, more efficiently with their time, but just so you guys have a time of reference, I probably spent about 4 hours on each corner. Well, with the rears, probably 2 to 3 in the rears. And you can factor in, as I'm moving the camera around to get the good angle or whatever, I just so happen to stumble upon a leak or something that's broken or something that's hard to remove. And originally my friend wanted me to do the coilovers and the spark plugs. Now, good thing when I pulled the first spark plug, it looked like this. And so I told them that they probably only ran through about halfway. They don't look anything as bad as my spark plugs when I first pulled them. So I told them that, you know, they can wait to do the spark plugs, just save the ones that they bought, and then do it later. And that was before I started really digging into the car. And I would expect that a mechanic would also do something similar, where if something is wrong, they let them know. If something isn't wrong, they let them know. Lo and behold, as I'm doing the coilovers, I run into the first problem, which is the wheels are extremely tough to take off. Even with my Milwaukee half-inch impact wrench, one bolt was extremely hard to get off. Even on the third setting, I had to like use a breaker bar or a few different breaker bars, get back on it with a drill, use not my regular wheel socket, but my bigger, heavier 17 millimeter impact socket, which has a little bit more inertia to break it loose. And then finally it came off. So I already know that that one lug was way too tight. And the lugs that we have here on the top, these are the ones that I took off. The ones on the bottom are my old ones from the M235i before I did the wheel stud conversion. And as you can see, like the edges on mine on the bottom here, they're not as notched off as the ones on the top. Not only that, is the collar where it seats against the wheel, it like the finish is almost all rubbed off, whereas mine, it's still there. And yeah, the car does have more miles than mine. Mine is only about 70,000. I probably put the wheel studs on there about 65,000. And the car that I'm working on has 90,000 miles. But this is just way too much wear on the lugs. Plus, the big tell was one of them was way too hard to take off. And then when I go to take it off, or once all the lugs are off, the wheel is extremely hard to come off because there's so much surface rust on the hub that has, you know, carried over onto the wheel. So I had to brush all of this off, and then as well as on the wheel side, then use anti-seize. And I asked them wherever they got it done at, and I think they said somewhere like Wheelworks in San Mateo. And I said, okay, even if they said that they did them, and maybe, you know, it's a new person or somebody was having a bad day and they happen to just use the pneumatic wrench or the you know, the electronic one, whatever, and they impacted it on and they didn't torque it down to spec, okay, fine. But if you really did the tire rotation, how is there a spider web inside one of your wheel assemblies? Like, that's not going to happen quick. And they said I think they did it like maybe like a month or two ago. But still, like, that I think would take a much longer time to develop than that time frame. Not to mention this one still, like, all four corners had surface rust. It was unbelievable. And the wheels were extremely hard to get off. And then I'm met with a spider web here. You guys can let me know in the comments. Do you think that Wheelworks in a month's time actually did the tire rotation here? Keep in mind that my friend doesn't live next to the water. Their work isn't next to the water. So saying that, oh, there's more moisture in the air to have the rust develop sooner. They're in a completely dry climate for most of the time. And we haven't had rain. Well, no, we've had like regular rain. But I mean, mine never get this hard to take off. And then they said that they took it to the mechanic and they did a general inspection, and he said, oh, the tires and wheels, they're fine, whatnot. One of them is newer. If you're a mechanic and you're doing the inspection, how did you miss here on the right? How did you miss this big gouge in the tire? If you open up that flap, there's wires showing. And then each tire, we'll get into it in just a second, has like a little bubble forming. So the inner layers of the tire aren't even holding up. And to say that they're good and one of them is newer, I think is a huge disservice and a safety hazard to your customer. I have no idea how they passed it or why they passed it. Especially because that same shop, did the lower control arm. The picture on the left here, it's the arm all the way to the left. And they did that, but clearly the upper arm, the one in the middle, below the axle, that is leaking all the fluid oil, all of the fluid that's supposed to be in the ball joint is coming out. And they missed that. If you're already going to do the lower control arm, which I hope that they did, they actually did, why wouldn't you do the thrust arm? And I get it that you do have to remove the axle bolt and do a little bit more work to do this arm. But if you're already here, how did you miss that? And then you miss that gouge on the tire because this is both left and right side. You know, both thrust arms are completely shot. And you only decided to do the lower control arm. And even if they say, oh, it happened afterwards, like to me, like this is a huge blow up unless they hit something significant that you wouldn't forget. And I asked them if they hit anything and they said, no, they haven't hit anything since they got it. If this happened, it's going to happen over a long period of time. If they didn't hit anything like a huge pothole, took a speed bump, the car got dropped somehow or whatever, there was a big fall. If the car didn't have a big up and down motion, a huge impact, this would never happen. And then even if that's the case, like all these other things, so I'm pretty sure that they didn't do it for one reason or another, but for some reason they wanted to do the lower control arm. Maybe it was shot too, but to me, this is inexcusable. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that this could happen they said that they replaced the arm about 2 months ago, I think. Do you think that this can happen over a short period of time within 2 months? Say like this was completely clean and they didn't know anything about it. And my friend was saying that they didn't hit anything significant that they can remember that would cause something like this. And I said, you know, big pothole, maybe something was on the freeway. Did you take a speed bump too fast? Did you come off of a driveway too fast? Nothing. Because to cause this in an instant would be significant. But let me know what you guys think. And here on the tire, you can see that little bubble towards the inner side in the middle here. All the tires have something like this, whether it be on the inside or the outside. You're doing the general inspection on the car, and yet you pass. You charged somebody for this, but you didn't tell them they needed new tires. You charged them for a tire rotation, but you didn't tell them that they needed new tires. I don't understand. And the last one here is just this panel. I mean, this was just the icing on the cake. I think I was already fed up. And, you know, now that I'm here with the showing it to you guys, I think, you know, I am being over dramatic with saying like, oh, they missed like the little, you know, the fastener here. But this was just the icing on the cake for me. This was like, after doing all of this, I did the driver's side coilover, the front driver's side coilover was the last one that I had to do. And when I went to go install it and had to pull this off, I was like, oh my goodness, like just like these people are so incompetent. So this isn't a big deal overall. It's just after going through each wheel, tire, the two control arms, it's like, you know, what did you pay $1,000 for? And then, you know, whatever it costs to do the tire rotation, where did all that money go? It's just upsetting to me. Thankfully, all the coilovers are in now. So the fronts are in, the rears are in, and it's pretty much balanced. I think the only side that's a little different is the driver's side rear. So once the suspension settles, we'll have to adjust the height so that everything is balanced, do the alignment, all those things. And we will replace the thrust arm as well. The only issue with the KWs is that the V1s on the F22 still will not fit the OEM end links that connect to the sway bar. You have to get adjustable end links. And you have to, I would say 3/4 of the way, max out the threads on the F22 end link in order to get it to fit. It will fit at ride height, but you are stretching those end links quite a bit. So I'm going to reach out to SPL Parts and see if it's okay to run them at that length or if they would recommend a longer body to do so. And for me, that is just about all that I have to rant on this subject. To me, it was just upsetting. I would have loved to do something else. You know, my shop, SV Bimmer here in Santa Clara, they're very well known. They're always busy, and they have good reviews. They don't even curate the reviews. I mean, I know the owners there, and one of the things that they say that they want to do better on is the um like the web space advertisement, or the presence online. But I told them, I said, like, you already have good reviews, like, on its own. Like, you not doing anything and you being as popular as you are is saying a lot. So I think, like, as far as like recommendations for shops, I think one of the things that you can look for is, are they always busy? Shops that are always busy, that means they have good workmanship. They have good word of mouth, but also they're probably going to be a little bit more expensive. And so some shops might say, oh, I can do this. And then if you say no, they say, oh, wait, I'll drop the price. A good shop won't do that because they're so busy. People are already willing to pay that price. So in the time that it takes to do your job, somebody else is willing to pay the regular price. So why would they give you a discount? Which is different from saying, like, oh, I'm going to do coilovers, control arms, the alignment, corner balance. I'm also going to do, like a steering wheel upgrade. If you're doing a lot of things, then yes, they will give you a discount because you're doing so many things. But if you're doing like a 1-for-1, why would they give you a discount when somebody else is already willing to pay that shop price? And so if you guys can, this was upsetting to me because my friend actually came here from Arizona, and then I think they took it to a few places because they're relatively new to the area. So if you guys can, please share where you're from, what shop you would recommend. I know most of us here do work on our own cars, but if anybody else is watching this in the future, if anybody else is new to cars, or if there's a job that's too big for them, at least, all of us here can kind of come together and at least give our recommendations for a shop. That way, at least they have a good feeling about the shop going in. They have that sense of security, knowing that this shop will take care of them because it was recommended from somebody from our group. So if you can, please just share where you take your car, or if you take a shop for like body work, let us know that it's body work. If you do mechanical work at that shop, let us know it's mechanical. So just let us know where the shop is, and also what kind of work that they do. I know that Soul Slinger, I got to know him a little bit over the week, does a lot of work on his own cars. But before you were working on your own cars, if anybody has a shop, please share it, because I know that there are going to be people watching this later on down the line. Jump right to the comments and see where we can take it to a shop. But also, if there's a shop that you would tell us to not go to, please let us know that as well. And with that, we'll open it up for the Q&A section. Whatever you guys have here, we'll go off of the comments for today. So Car Snob, press stop. This is something I preach to people. Oh, this is about the topic. Can you trust mechanics? Yeah, I think it depends. It's always going to depend on the person, but yeah, I guess if somebody feels that they can take advantage of you, and yeah, I just wish that everybody would just be a good person and we wouldn't have to worry about these things. What is there? My Audi engine sees, what do I do? It's click, no start. I'm not much in the Audi game, but I would assume that is if it clicks, maybe it's your alternator. It's hard to hear too, because there are different type of clicking sounds. If it's just like one click and that's it. I mean, if your battery is good and your starter is good, it could be your alternator. So just go down that line of like how things start the car, and then that should get you to what is the root cause of that issue. Pilar, it's windy here in LA also. Yep. So going back to what we were talking about when we first started, just a heads up, it's very windy out there. So, and I think it's expected to roll through tomorrow. So anybody in the area, be careful when you're parking next to trees, those flimsy lamp posts, anything like that, because the winds are so strong that they're knocking things over. I was saying earlier that I saw a car that had a tree fall on top of it and the windshield was completely shattered. So just be careful, everyone. Omar, they never do. I'm assuming this is still to our topic about mechanics. Can you trust them? And then are they trustworthy? And Omar is saying that, trust me, I've seen it with my own eyes. It's better if you do your own maintenance and repair. Absolutely, 100% agree. There's just going to be sometimes those people who don't have enough time, or some people who don't have the tools or the know-how to get to do the work on their car. So there is a need and a market for, general repairs, maintenance, body work, all of the things. My friends, they're in tech, and so they have quite a busy schedule as well. So for people like that, they need to make the most out of their time. So sometimes that is outsourcing the job. So I know that that is the best. I do agree. I just feel that for some people, they won't do it. So it's better to have it done by somebody else versus not having it done at all. There are always going to be those people that say, oh yeah, I'll get to it. I'll do it. I can do it myself. And then they keep kicking the can down the road and then it never happens. Soul Slinger, being in the automotive business for 26 years, I can tell you got to have a hard eye on shops, especially the big brand places. They do shady stuff and rush to get your much needed work done. Absolutely. I feel that the wheel works that they were telling me about that did the tire rotation, if they actually did it, which I don't think that they did, they impacted those lug bolts on way too tight. Like there was no reason that my drill couldn't just snap those things off like butter. But that one bolt was way too tight. And then when you actually look at the bolt and you look at the corners, like they were just so hammered on. It's unbelievable. Yep. And I wish like the reviews online, like you couldn't modify them or curate them in a certain way. But of course, if you pay for like the Yelp or the Google reviews or whatever, you can customize those things or get rid of the bad reviews and give yourself a fake 4 or 5 stars, whatever it is. And so word of mouth, I think, is still going to be the best. That's how I found out about SV Bimmer. I called up one of my friends from work and I said, hey, where do you take your BMW? And he recommended them. Soul Slinger, I've quit places for double scheduling, asked me to write unneeded repairs and overall shady practices. Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm happy that you're not one of those people and that you had enough integrity to leave that place, because that is unnecessary. It's like, I mean, it's a joke, right? When you're a car person, this really is a joke. You're like, oh, did you replace your blinker fluid? But legitly, if you're somebody who doesn't know anything about cars and like, oh, we replaced your blinker fluid because it was running low. That's why your warning light for your signal light was out. So we replaced the bulb and we replaced the blinker fluid. Like seriously. Like it doesn't need to be done, so don't do it. It's just as much as like I could have charged my friends, I mean, it's still like work that I do. So like, I don't do work for free, but I could have easily charged them. And even if it wasn't, right? Like even if it's somebody that I just met off the street, like I pulled that first spark plug and I told them like, you don't need to change it, but if you really want me to change it, I will. However, you can let these spark plugs run for a few more miles. They're probably only halfway worn. You can wait. And so they decided to wait. And I don't understand why a shop, if they're honest, would have a problem doing that. Because guess what? They're going to appreciate you. They're going to remember the good thing that you did for them. They're going to start telling their friends about you. And then they're going to say, oh, if you think that you need this thing done, but you really don't, they won't charge you for it. They'll actually tell you the truth. It's like that shouldn't be a thing. Like telling people the truth should not be a thing that you're complimented on, because it should just be a thing that you do, right? It's kind of like people don't tell you like, oh, you're a really good breather. Like, oh, I can breathe in my sleep. Like you don't brag about it because it's just something that everybody does. It's so natural. I don't understand why telling the truth can't be the same thing. Soul Slinger has a recommendation to the person asking about their Audi. Check your battery cables, including ground cables and connections to the starter. If all is well, pull the starter and take it to a parts store and have it tested. Okay, good tip. Yeah, and Soul Slinger does, like, if you've seen my stuff on YouTube, guys, like the stuff that I do, it's child's play to compare to what Soul Slinger's doing in his garage. Like, it's us people here on YouTube. I feel like we're only so, like we make it look good, for the camera. Like we do these things and it's like, oh yeah, no, like the stuff that he's doing in his garage is amazing. Soul Slinger, mark the inside of your tires before your tire rotation with a wax. Ah, smart. Yep. I mean, you want to go in, it's like hoping for the best, but planning for the worst, right? Like they should do their job, but just in case they don't, that's the way that you can. That's so smart. I mean, we do it for like all the other things, like, like tightening down bolts to spec and making sure that it won't move. Or if you're going to do your coilovers to make sure that you can tell how many spins you're doing. It's a good one. Alex is recommending a shop to us in New Jersey, TSD Motorsports in Hamilton, New Jersey. All right. So we got one shop on the list. And as we're waiting for the other questions to roll through, I'm going to sneak in some water here. All right. Thank you for the recommendation, Alex. Yes, this one was bugging me. I actually I actually didn't know what I was going to do until I started working on the car this past weekend, and I was like, no, this is something that we're going to talk about because it's so upsetting. And this is why, like, I would say you got to do a little bit of research on the car that you're going into, because when I picked up the car for my friend, I just asked him, I was like, oh, is it X-Drive or rear-wheel drive? And he told me, oh, and I think the place that they sold it to him said, oh, it's rear-wheel drive. It's an X-Drive. It's got the extra axles in there. Let's see here. So, yep, it's got the X-Drive axle. And then even in the door card, it says to not tow, only to tow it with a flatbed truck, which is a strong tell of an X-Drive car. So, yeah, you really got to look into the car, know the different variants. That way you're getting all that you were promised. Because in this case, it worked out, because generally speaking, X-Drive is more expensive. So imagine if you were to buy an X-Drive car and then you ended up getting a rear-wheel drive car, like then you lost out, versus my friend who thought they were getting a rear-wheel drive car and got an X-Drive car. Now, of course, preferences aside, X-Drive is a more expensive trim. So if we're just talking about price, and if you're going to buy a car, you don't want to be paying for X-Drive if you don't want it and if it's not available, right, on the car. So they actually lucked out a little bit. So I think if they resell it, they'll be able to recoup some of their money. But I don't know if actually what their preference is for the drivetrain, whether it's rear wheel or X-Drive, or if it doesn't really matter at all. Honestly, though, I will say this: the X-Drive cars, be careful with them when you're doing the coilovers, because if that axle comes out, you just have to realign it and it pops back in. However, because it comes out a little bit, you have more room to pull out the strut. And it's funny because when the video comes out, you guys will see it, but I actually didn't have a spring compressor, and that's my fault. I completely forgot, because when I did my coilovers, I did camber plates and all of that, so I didn't need a spring compressor to remove the top hats. They're actually still on my old coilovers. So when I told them, yeah, I'll do it, I have everything, I completely overlooked that. But their struts were the struts were so shot that what I did was, when I I had the spindle spreader tool in there, I just jacked up the car, or jacked up that side by the control arms, so the strut and the spring are completely compressed. And then from the top, I just undid the nut and then lowered it down with the jack smoothly, and then it just came apart, compressed the strut so that the spring can come out, and then took it out that way. Which, it sounds like a lot of work, but in the video, I think I just watched a little bit of it. It is so much easier than when I did mine, having to remove the whole thing, just because it can come out in smaller pieces. Gilmaher, as a future mechanic, do not trust us. We will overcharge you, and if you are a blonde chick with a Jeep that was bought with daddy's money and you come for an oil change, I will charge you for a new engine. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is kind of the thing, right? Well, I hope you don't do that. I know that you're just joking. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, that's how they see it. They see it as, easy money. They'll believe whatever I say. They'll buy the blinker fluid, and we'll be fine. We'll put it up on the lift. We'll touch a couple of things. We'll make it look like we turn a couple of bolts and all of this, and maybe we'll take the wheels off and put them back on, but nothing ever gets done. Those are the places that we want to avoid. And if you have a recommendation for us in the meantime, before you're a full-blown mechanic, please let us know. But yeah, going in for an oil change and then having to do all these other things is a pain. So I recommend, that's why I have the videos out there, because I want people to do the work as much as they can. However, I know that not everyone's going to do it, but at least it's still a reference point. If you watch the video, you should be able to talk your way through. Like if a shop seems a little shady, like maybe they didn't actually do the job, you could always try to talk with them and like see how well that they converse through the removal and the install of the new one. I'm not saying to be condescending or anything, but if they're like, oh yeah, we replaced the struts, right? You could just ask a simple question of like, oh, well, how easy was it to remove the strut from the knuckle? Because I tried to do it and I couldn't get it out. And if they're like, oh, well, all that you have to do is unbolt it. No, you got to use the spindle spreader tool. You have to, yes, you do have to unbolt it from the top, and then you have to pull it out. You can't just unbolt it, right? If you're doing like the rears, right? The rear coilovers, you could say, oh, I tried to do this on my own and I just couldn't align that bolt in the rear. Or I tried to do this on another car and I couldn't align that bolt in the rear. How did you align the arm with that other piece so that the bolt could go through? And if they say some trash like, oh, well, it just lined up for us. No, there is actually a procedure. Like you have to actually jack up the car to almost ride height, and then you have to adjust it a little bit. They could use a pole jack because in a shop, when you have the car up on a lift, you have more control because it's actually spinning versus like the pumping action of the hydraulic jack. Right? So you could always do that. So in a way, you could just say, I try to do this job, but I couldn't get past this one hurdle. And a good way is like when you're watching the YouTube videos, if somebody says, oh, this was a sticking point for me, pay attention, ask that question to the mechanic. Say, oh, how did you get past this part? It was giving me a hard time. How did you do it? They should be able to walk you through it. They should be able to walk you through it better than any YouTube video that you would see. And if they can't, and if your car feels the same, looks the same, they probably didn't do whatever job that was. Like the tire rotation, wheel rotation, you could just say, how did you get the wheels off? It was so hard for me to get the wheels off. They were tightened so tight. How, did I over tighten it? How tight am I supposed to tighten it? Right? Because if they're just using an impact gun, they don't know the torque spec of your car, which for us is 140 Newton meters, which is about 100 foot-pounds. So if you tell them like, oh, you know, every time I do this, it's so hard for me to get my wheel lugs off. What is the proper torque for this? Right? So it doesn't sound like you're being condescending, but then you're also kind of like just checking that they did the work, that they actually know what it is that they're doing. Now, it doesn't guarantee that they did the job, but at least if they're unfamiliar with their car and they actually did it, then that means they took the time to research it, look up other sources to get the information, and then do the thing. It just gives you more confidence. And Soul Slinger, yes, tell them you want to see your old parts when they're done before they start. Tell them you want to see your old parts when they're done. Before they start the work. Yeah. So make sure that there's actually the new parts available. You can take a picture of it, and then when you come to pick up your car, you should see the parts in there. For OEM stuff, I do highly recommend that. Like the one that I did, like the KWs, right? Like, so like if these are in, like you can see them through the wheel well. So like, you know, and two, it's for a friend. So it's different, but you know, I did take pictures with it fully installed. So with stuff like this, like you can see it, right? It's a yellow spring versus a black spring. You know, the strut body is silver, and you know, it's completely different. So stuff like this, I would say like it's not as big of a deal because you can spot check this really quick because of how visual it is. But if you're doing something like if you're going to like OEM coils, or if you're going to something like a gasket, like the oil filter housing gasket, yes, Soul Slinger, you're absolutely correct. That's another good way to check in on it. Ask for your old parts, definitely. The only tricky thing is some shops can get away with like the smaller things like spark plugs. Like they could just keep old spark plugs from whatever, right? So there is a limit to that, but it is a good thing. Like you know, all honest mechanics will do this. I have experienced that, and that's a good point to highlight. Thank you for bringing that up, Soul Slinger. Good mechanics will always present you your old stuff back. They'll dispose of it for you. Like they're not giving it to you to take home, but you can if you still want it. Like it's your property. So if you want it, take it back home, sell it, you know, or use it as a prop or whatever. You know, you can use it for whatever use that you want. But if you don't want it, they will dispose of it for you as well. Alex, you're welcome. Great video on the VAC control arms. I put them on my 340i X drive, and it made a world of difference when it comes to steering feel. I'm not sure if you're talking about my video. I did the SPL ones. If you're talking about somebody else, congratulations to them with the VAC. But yes, the control arms make a huge difference as far as bump steer because of the electronic steering. If you hit a pothole too hard, a speed bump too hard, any big enough imperfection on the roadway, yes, you will get that bump steer where it just, especially with the stock suspension, like you come up, you come down, or you hit something and it jars the wheel a little bit, it will jerk the wheel. And honestly, it is scary. Like the motion of it is scary, but because there's so much dead space with the steering wheel, especially in the beginning, not much really happens. So like the steering wheel can jerk, but there's so much dead space because of how the suspension is that nothing really happens. Like maybe you turn a little bit, but the degree to which that your car or the wheels turn versus the steering wheel is not so significant. But bump steer is very scary in of itself. So yes, I do recommend doing the control arms and the thrust arms. It does make a huge difference. I would even recommend, just because if your OEM suspension isn't bad, control arms always go bad one way or another. They always go bad. You can rely on your struts and springs for a long time before they really go bad. So I would recommend the control arms first, and you don't have to get the full-on SPL. You could go with like the OEM ones with the spherical bushing pressed in. That's what I would recommend, especially if you're a DIYer, because tell me if there's anybody else here. I can't be the only one. I hate torquing suspension components at ride height. I think like the only exception that's okay is the pinch bolt. And that's because, right, you need the actual strut in the knuckle all the way to clamp it down. Like that's fine. And you don't technically need it at ride height. You could actually over heighten the jack and it's still fine as long as it's sitting fully in there. So there's nothing to properly like calculate or to look at. But when it comes to measuring bushings at ride height, you have to get it on the jack stands. And then right when it starts to lift up, you have to tighten it down. And then if you're doing something like the sway bar that's relying on the opposite side, you have to line that up. I hate doing that. So as much as I can, I do spherical bushings, monoball bushings, anything but rubber. Poly bushings is what I meant. Just because they give you that free range of movement and you don't have to torque it ride height. That in and of itself, to me, is worth the extra money it is versus going OEM. And if you're already saving money by doing it yourself, you might as well treat yourself to some better parts. Sure, they give you a little bit more NVH and things like that, but I think it's worth it. I mean, that is, of course, that is just me, right? You might feel differently about that. Okay. N55 Will. Tonight's subject is, can you trust mechanics? I was telling everybody earlier about how I worked on my friend's car. I did the KWV ones. And the mechanic said that they did the lower control arms, but it gave me a headache because if you did the lower control arms, how could you miss the thrust arm right here that's leaking all this fluid? And if you're already doing the lower control arms, you might as well do the thrust arm as well because, I mean, it's so messy. I think I found out about this as I was pulling one of the knuckles out. I think I put my hand like on the inside here and I got like oil or whatever. So I just had to clean off that area in order to, be able to rest my hand there. They said that they, did a tire and wheel inspection and, the tires are all messed up. The wheels are extremely hard to get off. So I just don't believe that they did any of the work that they did. To me, it is very unethical and just unprofessional. So I told my friends, like, wherever the place that you took it to, don't take it there again. The control arms, I can kind of see like $1,000, I guess, to do both control arms. Like it's like 400 for the arm, I guess. And then maybe another 4 if they really did an inspection. Okay. But to me, it's pushing it. I would like to have seen that job under $1,000, but at least if you're going to overpay, don't overpay by that much, I suppose. Gilmaher. Most mechanics I know keep old parts if they are still good and put them in other clients' cars that need that part. They will probably get angry if you ask for the parts. This is in Portugal and most of Europe. Oh my goodness. I guess so. I mean, I guess if somebody really needs it, like if you take off your old part and somebody only needs like a, left front coilover because they hit a pothole on that side, then I guess they can. To me, like I wouldn't do it as a mechanic. I wouldn't do it as a professional. But if you're private party, like if I were to sell my old coilovers because somebody just needed that one side, then yeah, I would do it, but I wouldn't do it at my place of business. But then again, I'm not in Portugal. Soul Slinger. 99% of the time when I do work for people, here they are with me. I explain how I'm doing the repair, show them how it failed. I'm totally transparent with my work. That's a good policy to have. Honestly, I would be the same way. It's just when I'm filming, you know how it is. Like people talk, like I don't want anybody around when I'm doing the job just because I want the noise of the actual job to be the background noise. And I get it, like planes fly by and all that stuff, but as much as I can, I try to reduce the talking. But yes, if I wasn't filming, if somebody said, we don't need it to be filmed, we just want to see you do it, I would have no problems with them there. If someone isn't here with me, I take pictures and update them on progress, and when they come for their vehicle, I show them the old parts and the new ones installed. Yes, yes, okay, that is perfect. I will do that. So I agree with you 100%. Take pictures. So all the pictures that I sent you, I took along the way, and I sent it to my friend, and I wanted to let them know, like, hey, your car was like this when it got here. I didn't break anything, okay, but your car was like this when it got here. And so, yes, it's good from the perspective of you're covering your own self if they notice that anything is wrong after you do said job. And then it's also good that, you know, they have the peace of mind. Oh, okay, they're updating me. Okay, like nobody's gonna be mad as you're working on the car. You do one corner, then another corner. Something comes up, you take a picture of it. Because like for me, just using this situation as an example, if I did this and they said, oh, something was wrong with my armrest, right? You know, you broke my arm. I'm like, no, I didn't. Had nothing to do with your armrest. I didn't work on the interior at all, right? Now I'm just making that up. But yes, this is a good policy to have. Take pictures, send the progress, especially if you're an indie person doing this and you're not a shop. But, you know, I understand, like, if you're a shop, you're working on multiple cars at a time, it'd be hard. You're using your own personal cell phone. It can be hard. You know, you don't want to necessarily show all the progress, but like maybe like what Soul Slinger is saying here is perfect. Take pictures of like the parts installed, take pictures of the old parts that were all taken out, put them together, and then when they come to pick up the car, present them with all the old parts. Wow, that N55 will. Wow, that would have been an upsell. Yes. Well, actually, they got an unintentional upsell because what I was telling everyone earlier is they thought when they bought the car, it was rear wheel drive. But as you can see here with the axle, it's all wheel drive. And so this is an actual thing that they come up on if they don't mind that it's X drive, because X drive is more expensive than rear wheel drive. They actually, you know, got a little bit more for their money here. However, with the, you know, with the repairs and the services rendered, they definitely got taken advantage of there. I think no matter how small or little, I think that whoever they took the car to took advantage of them to that extent. N55 will again. My BMW mechanic always takes pictures and updates me if he sees anything that would be to be done. Oh. And updates me if he sees anything that would be to be done. He lets me know. Okay. So basically he takes pictures of all the things that he's doing, and then if anything needs to be done, he'll let you know. What shop is it and where? Because one of the things that I want to do today is, you know, give people who are watching this, whether it be now or on replay, an option in their area to take their shop somewhere that we personally have gone to, that we have, you know, a good rapport with, that we have good feelings with. You know, even if it's like when I recommend people to the shop here, you know, SC Bimmer, I don't make any money off of that. Like I don't need to make money off of sending people to the shop or anything like that. You know, maybe they give me a little kickback if I need a little service here or there, but it's nothing official like that. It's just like, oh, like, yeah, like Fritz sends this business every once in a while. Let's, we'll give him a discount on this service or this part that he needs. But it's nothing like, hey, I sent, you know, for every referral I give you, you know, I get $20 back. No, nothing like that. Let's see here. Oh. Let's see here. As we get in more questions. Okay. N55 Will is saying that his shop is in Riverside, California. Sure. Can you let us know the name of the shop? And then Soul Slinger, I inspect other parts or wiring while I work. If they're here with me, I can show them those things as well. I'll make a list for them to keep in mind for future repairs or things to keep an eye on. Yes. Yes, that's perfect. You're the best, man. Yeah, that's exactly what I would recommend, you know. Make a list of like what they need to do right now, like what is the most important. For instance, like if they want to do like a front like aero, like if they want to do aero on their car, get new wheels and their battery's starting to go dead, get the battery first, because if you don't get the battery, it doesn't matter what aero or whatever wheels you get, you're not going anywhere without the battery. So having a list of things to do in the highest priority is good. So I'm happy that you do that. But then again, I shouldn't have expected anything less from you, man. I mean, like I've seen your work in the garage. You've told me about your history when it comes to cars. I don't know why I shouldn't be surprised at all. Hear me here. It's funny that Benzes are cheaper to fix than BMWs. I swear they make them harder and on purpose. Like Mercedes are so simple compared to BMWs. Actually, I can't speak to that because I've never worked on a Mercedes before. So if you're telling me that it's easy, then I mean, sure. I mean, there's some quirky things about BMWs, like the oil filter housing gasket, all the things that you need to do to get access to it, like remove the intake manifold. That's annoying. Even like draining the coolant can be annoying. Let's see here. Other annoying things. Before the F chassis, the rear struts, the bolts would come down from inside the trunk through the body of the car, through the metal, and then into the strut, versus having it bolt upwards from the wheel well. So that was an annoyance before. So I'm happy that BMW now finally put the bolts upward and that we can remove them that way, because having to tighten it down from the inside or having somebody hold it while you tighten it down from the inside is a pain. Let's see here. N55 wheel down. Right on. Okay. Yeah, guys. So if you guys are new, just getting in here, we're just trying to share all of the places that we would recommend for shops and also places that we would not recommend for shops. Just because of the incident that I ran into with my friend, they said that they took their car into a couple places, and I feel that they either got overcharged, like even if the services was rendered, they probably got charged by like $100, $200 over, or they didn't get the work done at all, but were still charged for it in the case of the tire rotation and the tire inspection. Like there's no way. I highly doubt, and even if they swear that they did, I still have my doubts. Gilman here. I'm talking about the old Benzes, the European 190D and EW 101, and those Mercedes, the new ones, have too much electrical things and the suspension is super unreliable as far as I know. Okay. Whatever you say about Mercedes, man, I'll take your word for it because I have no experience in that department. Soulslinger, I don't have a lot of love for other shops. I'm really skeptical of dealerships. Yes, dealerships are the worst. Dealerships are the worst. I would say that probably mechanically, like to do the job, they're probably really sound because that's all that they deal with, right? Like if you're a BMW shop, like all the wheels get torqued to the same spec. So like you could have like a split beam torque wrench, like always set. So the wheels are always going to be torqued, right? You're always doing the same oil filter housing gasket. You're always working with the same set of tools, all those things. So they're really reliable in the sense of they know the car and they probably do torque things down, but the price that they charge is ridiculous. And Soul Slinger again, a shop's cleanliness will say a lot about how your service will be. Yes, I will say that my friends at SV Bimmer, it's good that one of the owners there seems like a really neat freak. So every time the shop gets a little messy, like he's got to like organize it and everything. I think both of them are like that, but I think one is a little bit more than the other. So yes, because that just shows like if they have a lot of business, which you can tell by their scheduling, like if they don't schedule you tomorrow, if they have to schedule like you out from like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, that means they're relatively busy. But if somehow they're still able to keep their shop clean, that says a lot. It's easy to keep a shop clean that's not busy. It is very hard to keep a shop clean that is very busy. Here, messy shop equals better jobs. Sometimes it does depend on the traffic coming through, because again, a shop could not be busy but also be messy, and then those are two bad indicators. One, they don't have a lot of foot traffic, and how are you so messy that you don't have a lot of foot traffic? You could spend the time cleaning at least. So it depends on the traffic. I would say if you see that they're busy and they're clean, that's a good sign. If they're not busy and they are messy, if they're busy and they're clean, that's a good sign. If they are not busy and they're dirty, then that's a bad sign. Did I say that right? Busy and clean, good. Not busy and dirty, bad. Soul Slinger. Unorganized, dirty shops, dirty floors, trash or old parts everywhere, oily floors, run. Yep. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you catch them in like the middle of the day when everybody's got something on their lift and maybe something spilled or whatever, like, yes, if you catch them in the middle of the day, anything can happen, right? Like, you could always just catch them in a bad instance. But for the most part, the shop should be clean, right? Because also, like, you don't want those contaminants, right? Like, you don't want like oil or coolant to get onto the tires and then it to be all up in the wheel well. That's going to be messy. Or even think about it, the tech steps on that fluid and then they go and drive your car, whether it be just, in and out of the shop. I'm not saying they drive it carelessly, but then now all that stuff is on your floor mat. It's on your pedals. Then when you drive, it's going to get on your shoes. You're going to bring it into the house. Like, it's all of those things that are part of the service experience, right? Because you're not just paying for the job, but you're also paying for the experience. They're paying for your satisfaction, essentially. Oh, I think I saw that one already. Soul Slinger. Cleanest shops I've worked in were Jaguar, Land Rover, and BMW. Good to know. Wonder why. Maybe it's part of their culture. Maybe it's just a higher priority for them. I guess it also depends too. I guess it also depends on the clientele, because when you think about those brands that you mentioned, their clientele is probably making a little bit more money than they're probably like in the middle class or like upper middle class. And so I guess the level of expectation when you're paying that much is a little bit more versus, somebody who's just starting out and maybe they have like a Honda or Toyota. Not saying that there's anything bad about it or that, you deserve anything less, but they know that they can get away with cutting certain corners, like being a little bit more messy or not having a more rigorous cleaning schedule or something like that. Or maybe it's not as frequent as those other places. They know that they can get away with it because these people are saying, I'm paying for just the service. It's fine if I don't get the nice presentation. It's kind of like those hole in the wall food places where it's like it doesn't look appealing. Like when you sit down and eat, like you're not paying for the experience, you're paying for the food, and that's why it's cheap and it's good. Other places, they might be like really fancy and the food is in small portions. It doesn't taste as good. You're paying for the experience. And in some cases, you're paying for both. In that case, it's probably what costs the most. Give me here. I mean, you can't run on oil. I'd rather walk. Well, some people, when they're in a rush in the shop, when they're trying to bang out jobs, and sometimes you just don't see it, right? You know, it's just like the hustle and bustle of things. You know, you're not always paying attention. Maybe the floor color of the shop is a darker color, so you don't notice it. So I don't mean it in the literal sense like they're playing around, but just, you know, just normal activities. Just asking an average BMW like a 318i, how much is it? Like here in Portugal, we care way too much about cars, so the cheapest cars are like $4,000 and the cheapest BMWs are like 10K. A 318, like an E36, you could probably pick that up for a couple of grand. Like I would even say less than $4,000 depending on how it's spec'd. That's US dollars too, so I'm not sure what the conversion rate is. But BMWs can get pretty pricey too. So if you get an older one, it can be cheaper, but the newer ones are definitely more expensive. But at 318i, a 318 is not going for 10K. Not right now. Like an E36, it's not going to go for 10K. No way. I would say 4K is really pushing it too. It needs to be spec'd out. It needs to be really clean and low mileage. Maybe 4K. Even in today's market, I doubt it though. So Slinger, it's required to clean and mop your bay at the end of the day. A workspace will say a lot about a person's mindset. Yes, I agree. I think at SUBMR, I think I usually catch them at the end of the day, always doing the same thing, like doing exactly what you say. And I think they should. I mean, it's good from the aspect of even, like, you can always find ways, like professionally, to like say that it's good. Like I said about, you know, you don't want any contaminants on your shoes when you get into the other person's car, or like on your work clothes, because that could get on the seat and then the customer's not going to be happy. Then you got to give them a discount, and that's going to hurt your bottom line. You can't have random things on the floor, because if you have like a screw or something like that, or a sharp object on the floor, there goes a tire that's going to come out of your bottom line. There's all of those things that I think like you could say in order to motivate yourself to have a clean working space. But on top of that, it's just good personal practice to be neat, because if you needed like a 3/8 extension, you would want to know which drawer it's in, right? You want to be organized to some extent. You don't have to be like full on OCD, but maybe keep your tools in the same drawer. Like there's just like little things like that to stay clean, stay organized is just going to make your work experience and your day overall better. Delano, what shops do you recommend? I'm upstate New York, want to upgrade my headlights to my 2013 328i xDrive. I think somebody recommended something in New York. I'm not from New York. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not sure exactly the geography of New York, but we got one in New Jersey here, if you want to screenshot that, from Alex. And I'm trying to think. You can look up Malaya F30. I think she's in New York. She always recommends shops. So if you check her out on her Instagram, her stories, and I think even her pin stories will have some places you could take your car to. She's pretty friendly. You could like DM her and like ask her like, oh, hey, like, where do you take your car to? She'll be more than happy to help you out. She's actually the person who helped me recommend the KW V1s for my friend. They were asking which system. I was saying, like, if you're really on a budget, you could get the STs or you could get the KW V1s. And I think the STs, they were back ordered and they were only $200 cheaper than the KWs. And I think at that price point, with a lifetime warranty and the stainless steel composite material versus zinc coating, you're getting more than $200 worth. So I just told them, at that price point, just go for the V1s. It's money well spent. Toolish. years. What exactly are you referring to there? I'm not quite sure. Give me here. An E36 is 20 to 25,000. What's the conversion rate? So I'm talking dollars, like US dollars. I don't know an E36 is going 20 grand over here. Like maybe at the peak when the market was really up, but I can't think of any time now where I would see an E36 it's worth that unless it's like an M3. It's one of the limited edition cars, or it's been really well taken care of, or it was owned by like a well-known person. I just don't see it. 30K? No way. I mean, what is the conversion rate? Let me see here. Let's see, what's the currency in Portugal? Euro? So €1, okay, it's almost a 1-to-1 ratio. Wow, that's expensive. Wow. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was getting. Can anyone tell me here, like stateside, like that is a lot. I mean, I haven't shopped around for a car for a while, but I mean, when I was looking around for a project car, like I was looking at E36s, not 20K, not 23, definitely not 30. Oh my goodness. There is no way. Yeah, I mean, I guess what you're saying is like if the car market is hot out there, like I can't think of that. Like I can't fathom that. It's definitely not here, but maybe it's because the supply and demand possibly is what's causing that to drive up. Yeah. Sorry. Ernest, and now I'll see you on that. All right. Soul Slinger, those prices are... Yes. Okay, so I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who thinks that. Soul Slinger, we're on the same page, my man. Yes, come here. Not worth it. Yep. Just save your money for something else. Oh my goodness, that is ridiculous. I cannot. 20 grand for an E36. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. I want to see. I want you guys to see this in real time here with me. Let's see here. Let's just run up the price. E36 M3 for sale. Okay, let's just look at this. Even bring a trailer. Okay, I spoke too soon. 2820, but this is an M3. These are all M3s. You're saying it's like 20 to 30 grand for what? For a 328 or 325i? Okay, let's just look up regular E36 for sale. Car Gurus. Oh my goodness, I guess, well, no. Okay, so 10K, 325i rear wheel drive. I don't know what's up with this price. 10 grand for that much mileage on, and it looks like a base model with just those rims. If you look at this car, 325i, very similar, going for 6. 328i is a better trim. Huh, I guess so. Okay, 318 right here. This is what we were talking about earlier. Like 3 grand, so we're not even at 4 grand yet. 318i convertible with 90,000 miles. I think that's too much. That will come down. Like that might be the asking price, and these places are dealers, so they're probably shooting up that price. But when it comes down to negotiating that, they know that they're not going to get that price. Maybe in Orange, California, people have money there, I guess. But like Columbus, Ohio, see that's going for 5. Illinois, 21. What is this? A 329i? Wow. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, prices are touching that price point. But yeah, usually like dealers like this, you're going to be able to negotiate it down a couple of $1,000s. So that's not going to be the final price. That's just asking. Oh, and a Miata is 20 grand, well, brand new, I guess, maybe, or relatively new. Soul Slinger. It's better to make a drive somewhere else and make a buy. Yeah. Or import it in if you can. I guess always stay like on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp. There might always be, there's usually somebody like in a bind that really needs to sell their car, whether they're moving or a life event happens and they're willing to sell it for cheaper because they need the cash on hand. So I would say you don't want to look for the deals that are too good to be true. Like sometimes that could be like a scam thing, and then you could end up in a bit of trouble. I would say look at the ones where it's like, it's not necessarily too good to be true, but it's like, it's kind of touching that. So like if a car is supposed to be 10 grand and if they're selling it for, 7,500, maybe take a look at it, or even like 5 grand, take a look at it. But then if they're selling it for 2 grand when it's supposed to be 10, like nobody's in that big of a bind that they're going to take it 80% cut. Get my hair. And it's always been like this. It's not new. Oh my goodness. I guess the car scene there is better than it is here in a way. Soul Slinger, find a BMW in another country. I don't know how the transition works for registration to your country, but it's got to be cheaper to buy elsewhere. Well, as we just saw, Soul Slinger, I guess prices are starting to move back up here, but it is supposed to be cooling down. I remember I bought the original F30 that I had for my dad. I think I bought it for 10. I sold it for 16. So that's a 60% markup, essentially. But still, I think these prices that we just saw for the E36 are still too high. The market's supposed to cool back down. I mean, with the inflation the way that it is, people getting laid off, like these prices can't hold forever. Car Snob Drift Build, we're talking about the E36. Yep. Or even just just like a fun car to work on the side and just do whatever, not have to worry about like taking it into work or anything like that. Just do whatever I want. That'd be nice. Our BMs are most of the low mileage, like 60 or 70,000. Those will still run. I mean, BMWs, if you treat them right, as you just saw with the E36, they'll go way past 200,000 miles. So there's nothing wrong with 60, 70. Cars on Facebook Marketplace is the best. Yes, I actually sold the white F30 on Marketplace, and I bought the red F30 off of Marketplace, but from a dealership. I actually bought my M235i from, I actually forgot where I saw it on, but it wasn't Facebook Marketplace. But Facebook Marketplace is a good resource. Definitely a place where you can come up. Oop, what happened there? Get my hair. Here dealers put them cheaper than the people, and I met. Oh, Miata. Not so great. 20 grand for a not so great Miata. Ooh. I don't know. Wow. Maybe I don't want to buy a car in Portugal. Yeah, that's expensive. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Yeah, that's tough. That is really tough. Ryan B. Tie rods. They were swaying issue with my 2014 M235i. We spoke a little while back about it. Okay. In all honesty, if you do like suspension components, if you do like a coilover system, and you also did like the upper and lower control arms, the tie rod end, because it has such minimal, I guess, effect in that area, you could get away with it for a while. But if you're already going to do all the arms anyways, yeah, you might as well. It's already there. Like I did the coilovers, the sway bar, the end links, the upper and lower control arms, and I didn't do the tie rod yet, just because now that all those other components are so, more beefy, they're able to hold the suspension into place better. There's not as much deflection or impact on the end link, so it's going to last longer because it's not subject to that much impact anymore. But also because it has such little impact, I mean, I don't really want to do it either until I really need to, just because of the cost to benefit ratio. Let's see. Gilmer here, a Dodge Charger RT with 65, Form 65 is $200K. Corvettes are like $120K. I love Americans, but they are too expensive. Well, you're not going to like them when they go to the all electric. I think, what is it, the Challenger? They're not going to make any gas powered ones. They're all going to be electric now. They're going to make that little electric whirling noise, that little sound. So you might like American cars now, but you might not like them too far in the future if you like the real American muscle. Oh, let's see here. Got lost in the chat here. Soul Slinger. I got my 540i for $1,500. That, now we're talking. And my 745i for $15. Both. I had to fix them, but I saved a lot in the long run. Yeah. Both of them are 2002. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Like, now, Soul Slinger, you're in my price point now. Like, this is... See, I told you, we see eye to eye on these things. We see eye to eye on this subject. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. Buy a clapped car, whatever you want to call it, a car that needs work. Do the work. You'll save money on the car, and then you'll also get the benefit of the satisfaction of fixing a car, knowing that all the things have been done on it and that it's going to run fine and be safe for you. Plus, it's a good hobby to have. But then again, I think Soul Slinger and I, we are biased in our opinion of saying that working on cars is a good hobby. I think we're too far in to go back at this point. Over here. The 740i is one of the cheapest and most common here. They go for like 10 to 15K. That's still pretty pricey. But in your area, I guess, where I cannot do those prices. Salvage cars, maybe. I mean, my car is salvaged. I like it. It worked out for me. John Santos. Did the steering wheel become tighter after you lowered the car on coils? Yes. So it is stiffer. It's more responsive. There's a lot of dead space when you're steering, like initially. So like maybe you'll have to turn the wheel like maybe, 10 to 15 degrees before it starts actually doing something. Now it's like right away. It's not right away. I would say like still has like maybe 5 degrees of play or something like that, or 10 degrees. There is still a little bit of dead space, but I think if the lower control arm was actually done, when we do the thrust arm, that should take up the rest of the slop, because that thrust arm is completely gone. So it's not securing anything. And so there is a little bit of dead space, but there is more resistance. Yes, generally as you go up in performance with your suspension components, steering will be more involved. It will require more effort. Here. There was an 850 IS that sold for $100K. My goodness. Guillermo here, you're not making me feel any better right now. Oh my goodness. I'm starting to go with Soul Slinger. Just buy a car from out of the country and import it in. 100K, like, and you're telling me most of the cars there are used, like, 100, and your conversion rate is like the same as US. Can do it. Soul Slinger. 745i is a problem child. I wouldn't recommend getting one unless you're really into wiring. Good to know. So I'm not into electrical at all. So I will keep that in mind. And 745i, I'm out. If I find any deals, I'll send it your way. CarStop, never convert to EV. You could just keep buying used cars, and then, you know, it'll be that. Before I think all the cars are EV, I think all of us will be, you know, a distant memory, hopefully, and we will get to enjoy, you know, regular cars as long as we can. I mean, electrical cars aren't perfect either, right? We're forcing all these people to go pure electric when the technology, other than I feel like Tesla, hasn't been fully secured, and even Teslas have issues, right? I have an aunt whose like car locked up, like it won't. You can put it in the tow mode, but it won't go out of park, and all of the electrical is going haywire. All the sensors are going off. So Teslas aren't without their problems. However, they are the furthest along in the electrical car game, and yet we're telling everybody that they have to go to electrical cars. It's kind of like how I feel about California saying that we have to go 100% EV and go to electric stoves and all of this and that, when as of right now, we're nowhere close to 100%, but we have rolling brownouts, blackouts. You know, there was a power outage in a few cities down from me, and so we don't even have the infrastructure to be ready for it, and the technology is not there yet, and yet we want people to go to EV. How about we ease our way into it once we have the infrastructure, once the technology from the companies to make those cars is more reliable? Sure. But also I'm just against like making people do something that isn't necessarily like life-saving. Obviously there should be laws to protect people's like well-being and safety, right? However, like making people buy a certain car because it might do this thing for the environment, not too high on. You know, buying a used car produces less pollutants than buying a brand new EV. Just gonna put that out there. Gilmer Harry, Car Snob only speaks the truth. He is on point about all things cars. If you think that you can work on cars, take a look at his forum posts and you'll be humbled very quickly. He is the guy. Car Snob. I didn't mean to go on a little tangent there about EV cars. It's just, it irks me a little bit. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it would be like saying, oh, everybody, I don't want to say this. Everybody has to swim to the other side of the shore, but we're not going to teach you how to swim. That's how I feel about EV cars. It's like you got to do the first thing first. Soul Singer, yeah, no EV for me. You have to get specific schooling to work on them, and they can still kill you. Teslas do blow up and catch on fire. Just putting that one out there. And I would not question Soul Slinger either. Car Snob, I want to get a cheap 350Z drift car from Facebook, or even any car chassis that have, or any car chassis. I have my own garage now, but barely any tools, so I wouldn't mind teaching myself how to fit an engine in myself, but I'm gonna need tools. Car Snob, I can't guarantee you anything, but if you look at my short form videos, that's how I got brought on by Technical Tools. You can also reach out to Olsa Tools. Gear Wrench isn't as responsive, but you can try. Harbor Freight is another good one. All of those will, if you build up a body of work, you'll be able to get something. Olsa Tools, Aries Tools, try going up that alleyway. Tech and Tools I know is looking for certain content creators. So if you need tools, take a look at my short form videos. That's how I got all my tool deals. So I hope that that helps you. And if you can piggyback off of that to get your own, if you're self tools, I would hope to do that. Actually, you know what? While we're on this topic, I'm thinking about doing a giveaway for tools. I'm just not sure how I want to run it. The last few giveaways I've done, like it hasn't been so successful. Usually I tell people like, okay, like go do this thing so I can enter you in the raffle, like make a post on Instagram, and then nobody makes a post on Instagram. So if you guys have any suggestions for me, let me know. You guys can DM me or put it in the comments here on how we can do a giveaway for tools. I would probably want to give away like a basic socket set, you know, 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, whatever. I'll figure out the details on that. I just haven't been sure on how I want to process the, I guess, the administrative aspect of like, how do we pick a winner? And then the other thing too is it's probably gonna have to be US based just because of shipping. I had an issue where I did a giveaway and I had to send it to a different country and it took like 3 months to get there. So logistically it's hard. Car Snob, I got my first cheap impact and torque wrench and a cheap 2-ton low profile jack. I'll say this, the best bang for your buck jacks are at Harbor Freight. And if you're just starting out, tools, just go Harbor Freight. Lifetime warranty, yes, sometimes they break. Yes, sometimes they're unreliable. They don't have the best finishes. They don't have all the bells and whistles unless you go to like their premium lines. And even they don't even have all the bells and whistles sometimes. But if you live next to a Harbor Freight, the warranty is hard to beat. The employees, they know that you take it in, you're like, oh, hey, this thing broke. And so they're like, yeah, go grab another one off the shelf. Like they're super chill about it. The hard one is actually that I've had a hard time with is Lowe's. I think I had a, what is it? A box cutter, the one that you flip open, but the mechanism wouldn't unlock, the button wouldn't open it up. So I took it back. I said, hey, you know, like I just opened this on up. Like I just need a new one. And the guy there was like, oh, we don't warranty those. And I didn't have my receipt. And I was like, yes, you do. If you take me over there, I can show you on the thing. It says lifetime warranty. And they're like, oh no, we don't, like Cobalt, we don't do that. I was like the Cobalt is your brand. Like, how do you not know this? And they were giving me a hard time at the customer service. And I said, why don't we just walk down to the aisle where this exact item is? You can look at the packaging and it says lifetime warranty on it. And it took like another person to come by. So a second person to say, yeah, why don't we just do that? Like, it just makes sense. We walked down there and then to their surprise, they're like, oh, we give a lifetime warranty on this. I'm like, how do you guys not know this? Like most places, like most big box stores give a lifetime warranty on hand tools, like basic hand tools, box cutters included. But I've never had an issue with Harbor Freight. I say, hey, I want to return this. I want to warranty this. They're just like, yeah, go grab it off the shelf. If they don't, they just write you a rain check, or they'll look up other locations that have it, or they just ask you to come back. Soul Slinger, don't knock Harbor Freight for tools. Buy them as you need them. Beware beware of tow trucks. You don't want to know the money I've thrown down. I would say tool trucks are good. That is one, like when I was saying about like, you know, nice car mechanic places, like places that clean up well. The big box or the tool trucks, you're paying for the experience because you don't have to go to the store. They're going to come to you. If it's broken, they'll warranty it. Whatever you need, they'll take care of you, and they're always going to come to you. Now, you do also get some side benefits that most of the things there are made in the USA and all that stuff. And I am fully in support of, you know, buying made in USA tools. However, I'm not going to buy a ratchet for $300 just because it's made in the USA when I could go down to Harbor Freight and get one for $10. Like, to a certain extent, it's like, okay, yeah, I want to support USA, but like, I'm not going to spend my paycheck on it. Car Snob, I visited Harbor Freight near my new place like twice, then 3 times the next day while replacing my axle nut. Yeah, I think, what is that for the BMWs? It's like a 17 millimeter. The hard thing is like, even if the socket is good, like the impact socket or the chrome socket, whichever one you use, it's the S2 steel of the actual bit that will fail before the actual socket. It bends, it twists, it's whatever. I mean, yes, it has a lifetime warranty, but that is, unfortunately, it's the weak point in that system. Go right here. The average salary here is like $22,000 a year. So imagine most car people here run clapped 18B Civic, and importation fees and legalization are like 50% the price you buy for it. Man. See, this is why, everybody take note here, this is why we don't want EV cars. Look at how heavily regulated this is to bring in a car into Portugal. This is why we don't want EV cars. Because if they say only EV cars can be in here, and then we want to bring in another car, or eventually what if they say, oh, you can only have a car that is so many years old, after that you have to get a new one. It's not necessarily the EV cars that are the problem. What I've noticed is just that once you give, you know, the powers that be power, they are very hesitant to give it back. I think, you know, politics aside, I think 2020 was a good insight to that. Is like, when you give these people in charge power, they never want to give it back. When they say that we're going to put on rules on you, the rules almost never come off, or they're very reluctant to give the people back control of their own lives. So I say no to EV cars, one, because I prefer regular cars, but also I don't like forcing people to do it. If they want to do it, then that's fine. Let them do what they do. Car snob. I don't ever want to go to an AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts store. I think that's what they're called, or any smaller parts store. Yeah, I never go into those either. Though most of the people that I found there don't really. It's strange, actually. The Harbor Freights that I've been to, the people are really into like whatever the thing that it is that they do, whether it be like woodworking, working on cars, boats, whatever. Like, they have those type of hobbies. I found like the people who like work in like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, or whatever, they might have cars, they might have done an oil change here or there, but they really don't know. Like, they're not as experienced. They also tend to be younger. So yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like, the customer support is not as strong in those places. Like I said, you know, Lowe's is like a big box store. Their customer support, they weren't even like, even, you know, that might be, you might be saying like I'm talking about something unrelated with the AutoZone guys, but like Lowe's, that is a very related topic. You should know the warranty of the items that you have in store. But Harbor Freight, like, everybody just knows, yeah, hand tools, lifetime warranty. Gamma here, like the R34 Golf 5 is $6K in Germany. To import it and legalize it is $8K. Oh my goodness. The process is $8K. So you're going to have to pay $6K for the car. Oh my goodness. That's more than the car. How do they come up with these numbers? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is ridiculous. It's kind of like how, like, if you buy a car, like a brand new car, you're taxed on it, and then the dealership has to pay the sales. They have to pay the tax for the profit of the car, and then when you sell it, you're taxed again, and the person buying it is going to get taxed, and then it continues. Like, why does everybody, whoever owned that car, has to pay a tax on it? Like, the government didn't do anything to service the car, and so why should they get a cut of it? That is ridiculous. How can the processing fees be worth more than the car? It should be a percentage of the car at best. That is ridiculous. Car snob. I have so many around me, even a small time parts store like the Harbor Freight. Haven't looked what they have inside yet. Yeah, Harbor Freight is actually coming up. If you buy their good stuff, like some of their icon stuff, I think is overpriced, but some of it is good, right? To me, like, a ratchet is a ratchet. I would say, like, you want like a like a smaller head one to reach into the harder to reach places, different sizes to accomplish different tasks, right? But as far as the mechanisms inside, it's good. Like the basic ones. Their sockets are good, like their Quinn line is good. I like the Quinn more than the other ones just because it's easier for me to see the stamping on it. But as far as like the performance of just the socket itself, I think they all perform perfectly fine. So I think Harbor Freight for just general tools is a win. I think somebody like knocked me for like using like Harbor Freight tools or Harbor Freight jacks. I'm like, okay, like take that money and put it into another jack. What are you going to get? Especially if you're a hobbyist and you're not a professional, like you're not worried about the customer seeing a Harbor Freight jack. Like you're not trying to sell the impression, and you're not using it too much that it's going to fail in such a short time span. So why not? I mean, they perform really good. Like you're getting your money's worth when you're buying that tool. I definitely say like I recommend the Daytona jacks over everything. Just for the price point, the performance, it's an excellent value. It's their icon tools that I would say that you need to be picky on which ones you get. You could always go to the Quinn lineup. That's pretty good. Just as a side note, the Cobalt torque wrench and the Harbor Freight torque wrench are the same exact thing. Just the plastic moldings and the stamping is different, but it's made in the same warehouse. And the Harbor Freight one is cheaper. Car Stop. It's literally just called Auto Parts Store, LOL. Small, but looks professional. Okay, well, if you ever give it a shot, let us know. If they start growing, then at least we know it's a good store or one to stay away from. Soul Singer. Icon tools are the same as Snap-on, same manufacturer. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I would say just whatever tool that you want. Like you could always like look up like, I think, what is it? The Subaru something. I'm forgetting his name right now. I want to say it's Subaru Car Guy, but I know it's not that. Mr. Subaru, I think is what it is. He does a lot of like, oh, this tool is from Snap-on. This tool is made, from somewhere in Amazon, and it's the exact same thing. It actually has the same stamping. It's made in the same place. So if you want to look for like high grade tools like Snap-on, like Icon, you could always check out places, YouTube channels like that to see like, oh, do they make it in the same warehouse as something else? And it's just stamped in order to get the price up. Car Stop, no. Hello, I don't know enough about cars yet. You will. Give yourself time, but you'll get there. Soul Singer, Amazon sells Icon 2. Check out Mr. Super. Okay. All right, Soul Singer. Yeah, we're on the same page for sure on most things cars, I guess. He goes on about the shady tool industry. Yep. I agree. He's a good resource. John, are you still rocking 245, 35, 18, 18 by 8.5 square? Are there any benefits of going 255 or 235? So I am not. I'm still running the squared 18 by 8.5, but I'm running 225, 45 at 18. I just wanted to see how thin I could go in order to prevent rubbing, but also to save money on tires, because Michelin makes good tires. And I've I've lost traction a little bit just off the get off in one area that there's a lot of gravel there. So I've had issues there, but other than that, no. The only other benefit to going wider is you get better traction, theoretically. If you do more power or add more power to the car, you will have more potential for it to sticking to the ground, but you do get more drag. And so your MPGs will go down. I'm actually thinking about running the 235/40 next time. I'm not 100% sure, but I just got these tires, so I don't know. Maybe if I get new wheels, but my new wheels, I do want to get 235 because I just feel that the 235, it doesn't stick enough. It's just a feeling. Other than that one time that I emphasized, it has not rubbed or slipped, I should say. Get my hair. Portugal was one of the biggest lithium producers, and they stopped production. They deemed it unfriendly to our environment. Well, then I don't know why we're taking so many of it and putting it to the EV cars. Humans will never fully convert to electric. Like for boats and tractors, it's difficult to get the amount of torque needed to make them move with efficiency. Agreed. I mean, I would say just let the technology roll out as it is, and then let the people make their decision. As more people flood the market, the prices of things will even out, and then people who would have liked to get that thing can now get it because it's at a more affordable price point. But I guess the government wants to force people to do whatever they think it's the best, which is debatable. Ken K, thoughts on reliability on an N55 engine after 90,000 miles, specifically a 2014 M335i. If you haven't replaced any of the plastic stuff, so if you look at my common issues for the N55, I would address all of that first. If you take care of all of them, along with the coolant flange, as well as the oil filter housing gasket, then I think it's fine. Those engines are more reliable. Like when BMW, they did all of their inspections as far as like the N54, so its predecessor. When they made the N55, they made it beefier. So it can last. It's built to be more reliable. It's not as powerful as the N54, but it can last. You just got to take care of it. What headlights do you recommend for upgrading to my 2013 BMW M235i xDrive? I like the projector style ones. I'm running a set of, I'm doing R&D on a set right now. LED technology is good. It looks brighter when you're looking. It's hard to explain, but it looks brighter when you're looking at it. However, when you're actually behind the wheel in the driver's seat, the light is more scattered. If you get a projector style headlight, whether it be LED or HID, LED is easier to, LED is usually just a plug and play. HID, you have to convert more things. So I would always recommend LED. It's just easier. It's, how should I say it? When you look at it, it's not as bright, but behind the driver's seat, the light is more concentrated in the area that you want. So I would go projector style, even with an LED light setup. Car sub, I got a cringe Subi, but still sub for the general car content. Nice. Don't be hard on yourself. I mean, we welcome everybody, and it doesn't matter what car you have. I mean, if you want to join the BMW community, we're happy to have you. If you don't have one, we're still happy to have you. Car snob, what do you think of Kia making their cars so cheap they are USB hackable? And some states don't insure some Kias now. I mean, I try to think the best of people, so I think they really wanted to do it out of a convenience factor, a good value for the consumer. It's just, when you do that, there are some things that you miss, some corners you have to cut, and this is what happens. So it's unfortunate that that happens, but I think that they were trying to attack a certain market, and they probably hit on it, but they also hit on the people who would take advantage of that. So it's unfortunate. Like I said, this is kind of like what I was saying about the car mechanics. If people were just honest, good people, this wouldn't be a problem. It's kind of like, crime is, even though that crime is against the law, people still do it. It's like the same thing. It's like, you can't just go to work, do what you do, and then, like contribute to society in that aspect. You have to go and take from other people. But yep, some people are just going to be like that. Harbor Freight's they have way more variety. Yeah, they do have a ton. I would say like the regular Pittsburgh lineup, some of the stuff is perfectly fine. Like I use their palm ratchets, like the little circle ones. I mean, I use those all the time. Like, to me, I love those. Like, they're never going to experience any high torque. They're cheap. They do what you need them to do. I would say like Harbor Freight is good for like, some people say they're good for one-time use. Like if you're stuck in a jam, yes, they will work that one time. Also, it's good for like low torque applications because you're never stressing the mechanism so hard that it would break. And yes, it's maybe not the most precise tool in the world, but when you're using something like that, you don't need it to be super precise. Get over here. One of my dream cars, the Mitsubishi Evo 4 is, oh my goodness, 60K. 60K for an Evo. I'm not moving to Portugal. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Not at those prices. Wow. Car snob. Damn, there's no cheaper Evo 4 anymore. Oh my goodness. Soul Slinger, I don't knock anyone's tools. We're all in different stages of the mechanic's walk of life. It's okay to buy what you can to get the job done proper. Yes, I agree 100%. So I would say take that to heart, everybody. Like Soul Slinger is a very capable mechanic. I've seen pictures of what he's doing. He's got a few projects going on right now. He's a professional. And I think that like the people who criticize people like, oh, you didn't get Snap-on. It's like, okay, I didn't get Snap-on, but like I'm also not 100K in debt to the tool truck. Like that's nice too, right? But like it, like people want like a thing, right? Like they want like, oh, I have this. Like it was so expensive for me to get. It's like, okay, you have it, but then if you're like your coworkers, right? Like they know how much you make. They're like, okay, he does not have it like that. Otherwise he wouldn't be working here with us because we all make the same. So either he spent all his money on that or he's in debt. And trust me, like when it comes to tools, you don't want to be in debt over tools. Like I get it. Like it's fine. You get a mortgage, you have a house. Like if you want to send your kids to college and you get the college tuition, like that, like those things are good debt. You know, if you don't have a car and you need a car for work, you get one car that's reliable, that's comfortable, especially if you're on longer drives, and that can be good debt. Buying tools, especially if you're not a professional, and going into debt over it is not good debt. It's not a good investment. So thank you, Soul Slinger, for making our community a better place and not being like those people that say you don't have Snap-on, you don't have this or that, or you don't have like the Gucci stuff, like you're not cool. I do think that kind of thing needs to stop, just because exactly what he said. We're in different stages and come from all different walks of life. And if you're not a professional, you don't need Snap-on. If you use it like a couple times a year, if you only do your oil changes once or twice a year, you don't need Snap-on. You get a basic ratchet from Harbor Freight. You could probably get one for $5. Going here, any Evo is expensive here. Everything is expensive there. From what you're telling us, everything is expensive there. They all almost the same price. Everything is at least 10K there from what you're saying. Oh. Subaru WRX and Imprezas are 20K. Let's see what else we got here. Just want to see the cheapest. Lambo is 230,000. The cheapest. I'm giving up on Portugal being cheap with anything car related. Ferrari is 80K. Okay, well, I guess you got to go with the Ferrari then instead of the Lambo. Soul Singer, I know that my future is not just a dream. Yeah. Well, hopefully if people take your advice and not go into debt over tool truck tools, they will at least have a future. Because if you're in debt over tools, you won't have a future. Your future will be debt and paying it off. Oh my goodness. Yes. I love your attitude, man. I think like a lot of the car community is getting a little snobby now, a little obnoxious, things like the takeovers and things like that. And it's like, yeah. And then they wonder why things like Cars and Coffee gets banned or nobody likes. It's because of stuff like that, right? The few people mess it up for everyone. Car Snob. I want to get a cheap drift car off Facebook, maybe salvage title or not even make it street legal. I live pretty close to a drift and drag strip. Yeah, the E36 is a common one. I mean, you could get like a stripped out one and then just drop in whatever you want. You know, LS swap. You could do like a E36 M3 swap. You could do like what Donut Media did for their car. And if you live so close to drag strip, you don't have to worry about making it legal. I was looking at cheap Beamer coupes and even sedans that had hydro brakes or angle kits. There you go. But I think I'm going to get a 350Z or 240 SX eventually to start drifting. So I just love Asian makes. Hey, man, do whatever you got to do, man. I mean, don't be sorry to us. I mean, you can still hang out here. It doesn't matter to us. Yeah. I mean, you like what you like, get what you like. And I mean, I think that we're a more mature and welcoming group here. So whatever you get, if we can offer advice, we'll, you know, or guide you in the right direction if you need it, then we will. If not, we're more than happy to just stand by and support you in whatever way we can. So at the very least, we can give you our support. Yeah, that guy's in Portugal. Yeah, and prices are ridiculous. Cheapest Lambo. Oh my goodness. So the difference in price is almost the price of the Ferrari. So you could get the Ferrari for the price of one Lambo. Oh my goodness. This is what happens when they tax everything to death. Yellow 04 base geared. Oh my goodness. Second cheapest is a 2014 Gyardo LP 564 coupe black, only listed at 150. Oh my goodness, you're gonna make him jealous. Oh, and here he is. I run one Jones Way crate and two brothers or something like that. The Ferrari was a literal ball. Forgot to say that it was in a big crash. It's been for sale for a crashed Ferrari for 80. Car Snob. Then two 2005 Murcielagos, 19,000 miles, listed at just under 190,000, and 5,000 miles listed at 250,000. Yeah, prices, there is a huge price disparity between here and Portugal. Damn, that's true. Beamers have a lot of room in the bay. Yep. Some of them, like the 2s and the 1 series, don't have as much space as the other ones, but yeah, like the 3s have quite a lot of space. Get over here. Get a 1M Leon or a 6K Visa and make it smoke with a 1.9 with. Car Snob. I just love Asian cars. Simplicity. I had a cheap Golf 4-door hatch auto when I was 19, and I had a coolant leak. I could never find the mysterious coolant leak, and I was keeping it going with water, but engine seized before parking. Yeah. I don't have any experiences with VWs, but most German cars can have coolant issues. Yeah, you just got to track it down. That's the hard part. I'll admit, like sometimes they're hard to find. Yeah. But hey, man, no worries. Like you get whatever you want. You can come hang out here with us, you know. Go to the car meets, whatever, man. I mean, just do what you do. If people don't support you, then that's a good thing, right? Then at least you know the people that you don't want to be around. But you're more than welcome here. Soul Slinger, some cars are for flipping, some are for getting you back, for getting you to work to make money. Use what you got to get the one you want. Ignore the haters and keep your heads up. Soul Slinger, we're right there. You and I. Same perspective. I agree. And I know I'm not alone. And I know Soul Slinger and I, we are not the only ones here that think this. Stop trying to impress people that you don't like with money you don't have. You know, that's generally what it is. I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm kind of big on this just because of the line of work that I'm in. But yeah, it's usually that's not exactly what the saying goes. It's like, you know, you're buying things with, or you're buying things that you don't want with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. Why? Why? Just do what you have to do to make your money, keep yourself happy, and you'll have a simple life and it'll be better. Like I said, would you rather brag that you have a $300 snap-on ratchet or not have a $300 credit card bill due at the end of the month? I will take the $290 and take that $10 and buy myself a Harbor Freight ratchet. You know, I mean, if you want to go like higher quality, like I said, you go Tecton. Like I'm pretty big on Tecton tools now. Yes, I partner with them. But like if you wanted something a little bit more higher quality, you go something like Tecton, Gear Wrench, or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be Snap-on and then Harbor Freight. Like there are a lot of things in the middle that you could get. $600K for an Ibiza. Oh my goodness. Get one here. You're not making me feel any better, man. Make it smoky, all black. Wins any Porsche and drags. And you're a big proponent of diesel spitting fire and cold. Yeah. My old ambulance, when I used to work EMT, we used to have these couple of diesel rigs. And that's the first time that I've ever been in a vehicle when it was rolling coal. We would always get in trouble too. Like, I think it's just the places that we have, like we have a lot of, you know, people that like just report us for whatever. If we park in the red, if we park in the handicap or whatever, it doesn't matter what the scenario is. Rolling coal, we would always get pinged for doing something. Samia, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I love all of you guys too. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, you know, and all the support. And I take all of the input and criticism to heart, at least the constructive ones. And then I try to improve on the next video. So I couldn't do this without you in one way or another. You know, I have friends here that helped me get started and then taught me things along the way. And then I take the input that I get from you guys in the comments. And so thank you so much for all the support that you've given me along the way and all of the constructive criticism to help me get better, to better service you guys. Global Dusted. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope that you continue to enjoy them. I hope that the quality has gotten better. One of the reasons why I decided to help my friend out with the coilovers and film it is because I was so disappointed with myself. When I watched back my old videos, I said, no, I got to do this one again. This one is fine. It can stay there, but I have to do a better job the next time. And I was just so lucky enough I got a next time to do it. Samia, you just got kicked out of your home. Oh no. Well, I hope you don't mean like forever. Maybe it's just like a temporary situation. Oh, okay. I'm not exactly sure what it is that you mean. Like if there's a situation going on, or yeah. Well, I hope that gets sorted out sooner, and I hope that you're okay. I want that Tecton toolbox though. Okay, Soul Slinger, I'm gonna do a live. Well, I don't know how to. I don't have the setup at home to do a live stream, but I'm actually expecting one of those very soon. Give me about 2 weeks. I'll test it out and I'll let you know. Like it looks good. Like there's nobody who makes reviews on it. I don't know why. They're actually made out of another company out in Canada. So yeah, but it looks nice. Like all the specs of it look nice, and I should be getting one soon. So I'll let you know how it is. Global Dusted, your dog died. I'm sorry to hear that, but it's okay. We got a new one and rebounded. Okay. Well, I hope that you had a lot of pleasant experiences and memories with your dog. And I hope your new one fills you with lots of other memories. You know, it'll, gone but not forgotten, right? So, wishing you all the best. Gilmer here. Do y'all have flat Fiat Puntos and Ibizas? I'm not so sure about the Fiats. I haven't seen an Ibiza around here. They're like the most people's first car. They're cheap to tune and easy to fix. They're like $5K and parts are everywhere. Maybe, I don't think so. Yeah, I know that they make certain cars for certain regions, or they only distribute certain cars to certain regions, but yeah, I don't think so. Not here. Not that I'm familiar with, unless somebody's seen them somewhere else. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting a car that's going to service you to do whatever you need to do. If you need a car that's just point A to point B, if you don't have a long commute, if you don't need the AC or whatever, you don't need all that fancy stuff, then just get whatever you can and then just work your way towards it. I mean, I think Soul Slinger said it the best. Like, you need to do what you need to do. You know, have your first car just take you to point A to point B so that you can make your money and then save up for the new one. You know, there's very few things that I think people should really go into debt for. I think like one car is fine because you need that. You know, a house, college tuition, even if you're getting a productive degree, right? You know, I was telling my nephews and nieces about this, that if you're going to go to college and you go to something like law, medicine, something like that, that actually needs like a structured school system, fine. But if you're going to go into business, I'm very on the fence. I'm actually not really on the fence. I'm really against people going to college for business, because you're learning from professors who are going to teach you about business, right? But if they were so good at business that they can teach, how come they're not so good at business that they're not running a Fortune 500 company? If this person is responsible for giving you an A in your business class, how come they're not the CEO of like Apple, Google? How come they're not managing a business like that if they are so successful? For something like business, just go out and do it. Get the experience. It's kind of like, to me, like those type of degrees, I would say business, marketing, film, even now that we have things so accessible, they're more or less like the gym, where you can study the regimen all that you want. You can look at how many push-ups, sit-ups, curls, bench presses, deadlifts you can do in order to be strong, but only doing the work will actually make you strong. In those fields, only doing the work will make you successful. Whereas a doctor or a lawyer, yes, you need to go through school, you need to go through the certification and all of the exams and state required testing to get your degree. In those fields, it makes sense to go to school. But with stuff like this, like, bringing it back to cars, just do what you got to do. Do what you got to do to make your money. Don't worry about impressing everyone and going into debt over it. I think Soul Slingers is spitting out gems right now. So, oh, great. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I'm just trying to set a good example. And, I try to think like, whatever I think would make the community better. I know, like, when I was in school, like, deal with like some bullying and stuff like that. But, how to make just the place better, not give a bad example, not for just the people coming in, but also the people who are perceiving us. Like I said, like when it comes to the cars and coffees, a lot of places, they don't want that because they know what happens after with the burnouts, the donuts, the takeovers, the casualties, the inconvenience to the business place. And then it hurts that business place, not just on that day, but if people think that that's going to happen every weekend, for example, they're going to lose business. And so how can we promote the car culture in a healthy way that helps even people who are not part of the car culture? And I think Soul Slinger, you are doing a very good job of that. Edmund, how are the M4 seats? I love them. When I was working on my friend's car, they had the comfort seats. They are very soft. They're softer and they're more comfortable. They're more relaxed. But the M4 seats, when you sit in them, like you have an aggressive stance, like you're ready to drive. I love them. I don't regret it. They were expensive for seats, I guess. I mean, they're not anything like Recaros, but I don't regret them. It's like one of those Instagram memes where it's like, show me something that you spent way too much money on, but you don't regret it at all. Those are the M4 seats. MC capitalism. If you're talking about the car prices in Portugal, I think that's more of because he's saying that it's very expensive to bring it in. I think that has more with the government fees and the taxes than capitalism. Capitalism, I think, is more of the car manufacturers driving up the price. But I think he's saying that there are so many fees. If I'm interpreting that correctly, he's saying that there are so many fees and taxes involved just to bring in a car. It's ridiculous. Global Dusted, you have like such a good fan base. I hope you grow bigger because you deserve it. Keep going. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for the people that I have. I think that even now that I'm growing, I think having a good fan base or a bigger base of people is nice. But at least the way I look at it is, while I'm still on the smaller scale of things, at least I have more time to get to know the people that are here from the beginning. And I think you have more time to give to people like that. So I'm happy for the people that are here. I'm not worried that I'm not bigger. I'm just enjoying the time with the people that I'm here with, including yourself. Thank you so much. Get over here. I got to go. Don't forget to lube up your ratchets. Right on. Yep. Have a good one. Global Dusted. Yeah, his name was George, and he was a lab. Oh, nice. Those are like the friendliest. He was a good pup, and now he's in a better place. Yeah. Second better place. Only the place that he's in now is the second better place, because the best place would have been with you, but I know that he is... think about it like this. He's probably with you in spirit all the time now. So whether if you had to go to work, go to school, and you weren't with them, but at least now he's with you all the time. So... sorry that he's gone. I know how friendly labs are. Yeah. I hope you're doing better. Gone, like I said, gone but not forgotten, right? MSC, what's a good first car? Affordable but compatible. If we're sticking to BMWs, I think it's the N... Let me see. I think it's the N26 engine. You get a BMW with an N26 engine, any Sulev BMW, and even if you're not car savvy, anything emissions related, they'll take care of for the first 15 years or 150,000 miles, whatever comes first. So that's a car that you can afford to make mistakes on. And then based off the government program, at least here on the stateside, emissions related, they'll take care of it. And generally, because those are usually 4-cylinder engines, they're cheaper as well. So like the 328i's, the 228i's, the 28 variants are usually the Sulevs. Edmund, happy that you like them, and it's fun for me to see my OEM seats in your videos. Oh, my guy. Right on. Yeah, man. Every time I make a video about the seats, I do post doing them. I'm so thankful that so everybody, Edmund is the one who sold me his seats. He went through all the trouble of freight shipping it through FedEx. He packaged them perfectly. He used tie-down straps. He used like the special saran wrap. They came in like perfect condition. Pretty much like exactly whatever I saw in the picture is like what I got. We had a little bit of issue with the shipping, but not related to him. It's more of a FedEx thing, and we were able to sort that out. I'm super grateful to you. And I love those seats. And yeah, it's the mod that, I mean, it's like mods like that you overlook. Like you sit down in the seat and you appreciate it because of you're always doing it, right? You're always sitting down in the seat. When you're backing up and you have the bigger screen, like you're always using those things. You're not always going to be letting on the gas and wanting a ton of power. So you're not always going to enjoy the horsepower modifications, but things like the seats, things like the shifter, things like you always engage with are so beneficial. So thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. I hope you're doing well. And your seats, I've tried to take care of them. I tried to restore them a little bit. I want them to last as long as possible. Thank you so much. And I think we've been here for almost 2 hours now. I'm surprised. Okay. Well, I think that might have been the last bit. No, we got one more here. Global Dusted. Is it worth it to keep an old car you own? It's an old gray car, and I don't know if it's worth to keep or scrap. It's been in my family for a while. It's my dad's car. I would say if there aren't too many issues with it, if you can afford it, or if you're willing to do the work, yes, it's worth it. If, say for example, the car, if you were to sell it, is worth $5,000, but you need to put in even $4,000 worth of work, then I would say it's not worth it because the return on investment isn't worth it. However, if it is sentimental to you, then you can't put a price on that. That one's just, you're gonna have to determine whether it's worth it for you or not. If you're somebody like Soul Slinger who's got like a full-on garage, a professional, then you can keep it because you can work around it. I would say you have to evaluate, are you willing to put in the time, the effort, and the money into it? And if so, then keep it. Yeah. I mean, if it still runs, I mean, you could run it until the wheels fall off too. There's nothing wrong with that. And then just whenever it goes, it goes. MC, can you trust mechanics? Some of them. Hey, everybody here, remember the topic of today's video is, can you trust mechanics? And if you have one that you can trust, please share with us the name of the shop and where they're located. That way we have a place to go to in that area. If there is also a shop that you can't trust, let us know that as well. Okay. Amazing Grace. Are there any good car places you could recommend? So here in Silicon Valley, I can only recommend one BMW shop, and that is SV Bimmer in Santa Clara. My old mechanic, when I first got my car, he retired already. Other than that, I pretty much work on my car on my own. So that's why I'm relying on a lot of people here in the chat to share with me and everybody else where they take their car for the bigger tasks. Now, some things like just regular tire rotation, putting the tires on the wheels, I go to America's Tire because I like their warranty. I like their warranty and their certificates. And so that's where I would go. But yeah, check the chat if you need to look for one. Hopefully people put in the recommendations. Oh, all right, MC. I'll see you later. Global Dusted. All right, thanks for talking with me and answering my questions. It's a bit late for me, so I have to go, but bye. Yep, see you later. Have a good one. Hope all is well with you. Samia Simpson, thanks for the good info. Goodbye. See ya. Have a good one. Good night. Hope everything gets sorted out for you. Amazing Grace, this was a great stream. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Bye. See you later. Have a good one. All right. So I'll take that as I was going to sign off earlier, but I'm getting all these warm goodbyes. Thank you, everybody, so much. I hope all of you are doing well. I know that we're all dealing with our own stuff out there, and You know, this is supposed to be mostly for cars, but I hope everybody is doing well. Even with tools that we talked about, you know, there's only few things that I think that are worth going in debt for. There's nothing wrong with like going to Harbor Freight and, you know, getting your budget tools there and doing what you need to do. And I think our community is pretty solid. So if anything comes up, you know, drop the questions. If I can't get to it, somebody else from our community, like Soul Slinger, Car Stop, they'll answer. And with that, I hope all of you have a good night, and I'll see all of you next week.